Hello students, welcome back. Now after looking at the first question, let's just try to use the same order in which how the UPSC has given us. Let's look at the second question we have. What is the relationship, similarities and differences between sociology and history in terms of their area of study and methodology discuss? The term discuss is important term over here because if discuss was not there and if the term was explain, elaborate, elucidate, a different pathway would have been followed. Not very different, but yes, these tail words will play an important role. Before we go ahead, let's just try to see from which part of the syllabus question 1B has come. It has been asked from your unit 1 and the second part that we are having comparison of sociology with the other social sciences. If we take a look, sociology is one of the disciplines that we are having in social science, yet it is distinct and has got its own uniqueness. This uniqueness is something that you should be aware of, because somebody will come and say sociology is like the study of individuals or society is the study of human beings. Yes, psychology is also studying of a human being. But what is the key difference? If I am being studied from an individualistic perspective, that will be done by a psychologist or a psychiatrist. But if I'm being studied by keeping the groupism in mind, by keeping my what do you call institutional view, or if I'm being studied on the basis of region, religion, gender, in these aspects if I'm being studied, then that's the purview of sociology that is coming towards me. So in this way we will be looking at, in the unit 1B, we look at the comparison of sociology with psychology, philosophy, economy, political science, etc. So here the question is, how do you compare these two subjects, sociology and history? So first of all, let's just try to look what approach do we bring. These two subjects, history and sociology, they are largely considered to be as twin subjects. It means they are very much closely related to each other. In fact, they are so nice closely related to each other. They do not make a lot of sense if you look at them separately. There is a popular saying that sociology without history will be considered to be as a rootless phenomenon, and history without sociology will be considered to be as a fruitless phenomenon. What does it mean? If you just look at the society and you don't talk about history, then you cannot explain the subject. Like if I'm telling that today's society is a more developed society, today's society is more a modern society, my development and modernity is basically a relative phenomena from a past society. If I look at the past, today I see that this is development. But if I totally disregard But if I totally disregard what the past societies has been all about, I will not be able to explain the 21st century. So here these two subjects are playing a complementary relationship. Whereas on the other hand, the subject of history will not make a lot of sense if we ignore the social aspect of it. So if I ignore, like, let me pick up a past society such as an Ashokan dynasty. The Ashokan dynasty is making sense to you when you're looking at the social aspect of it. I don't care in what time he was born. I do not care what was the war there, but what was the output of that war? What was Kalinga war trying to bring an implication that after this war, this man has done so and so for the social phenomena. He has said no to war and he has brought the message of peace, ahimsa. He started to bring so the aspects of the moral values, the core principles of humanity, the religion aspect of Buddhism that he was trying to spread, all these. So these two subjects are trying to have a relationship. So what point are we trying to look? That there are some sets of similarities that this subject is having. And what are these similarities? First of all, the main similarity that we are having is both of these two subjects are having a common discipline that they're looking. They are studying the aspects of human societies. Yes, there is a difference. Right now, I'm not talking about the differences. I'm talking about similarities. Both of these subjects are looking at human society. If you look at the study of history, they are trying to look at how human societies were being shaped with particular environment. Today we are trying to see how sociology is looking at these societies in a contemporary view. So both of these subjects are going to have a common subject matter. This is one important commonality that we are trying to look up. Then both of these subjects are trying to see the aspects of social changes, how social change is being determined. If you look at the aspect of history, they try to look at the social change over the period of a specific era. Sociology is trying to look at the change in the form of transformation. So both of these subjects are trying to capture the aspect of social change. And what is the social change? Somebody is trying to look at the development in the form of eras. Someone are trying to look at the change in the form of institutions. They are trying to look at social change, but with different lenses. Then both of these subjects are trying to have a strong and an important mutual dependency. What is this mutual or codependency that we are having? And the dependency is, one is considered to be as a fruitless subject, another is considered to be as a rootless subject. But here, when we try to balance a particular question, we look at a common definition, a more acceptable academic definition. We try to look at some set of similarities, but here we also want to look at some certain sets of differences as well. What are these sets of differences that we get to see? A very common difference is how these two subjects are being dealt with different time periods. If we take a look, what is the area that history is trying to look, what is the area that sociology? If we take a look, history is mostly the study of past societies. Sociology is the study of contemporary societies. I go and look how my country was there in 15th century. I try to understand how my country is there in 20th and in 21st century. So we look at the different time frame that they are trying to capture. Moreover, if I use the elements of methodology. Methodology is an important term, so I will make sure I will write this word 2-3 times over somewhere here around this. History is trying to use the methodology which is such as the study of manuscripts, such as some evidences which are there. They try to look at a pamphlet, then they try to study. So methodology is being different. Whereas in the case of sociology, different sets of methodologies will be used, such as participant observation. We have the elements of surveys, case studies, ethnomethodological approach, phenomenological approaches. So these methodologies are quite distinct and unique to this subject. So there are some sets of differences that must be highlighted, how different scopes of methodology is being used, how a different time orientation is there, how different areas of studies are being incorporated, and the nature of explanation that is also there. History is trying to study or bring some of the older events that they look. Orientation. Here, history is mostly trying to capture events, such as history will be looking at which king came from a particular time period to another time period, which wars being fought, what are the agreements that were being made. So they try to look at some specific events that will be considered as milestones to study that subject. But sociology will not look at any specific events. In fact, they try to bring a commonality in those events. They don't talk about that this was something unique, this was a common pattern. So they try to establish some patterns in those relationships. So they focus on some events events, they try to focus on some institutions. They try to talk about the differences between a particular time era to different time era. They try to create a commonality from different time era to time era. So they try to create some patterns in those complexity. They try to find some difference in those complexity. They try to look at a specific event. They try to look at a specific institutions. In this way, they both are being differentiated. But I must highlight in the conclusion how Max Weber is trying to say that these two subjects are highly codependent on each other, because Weber was one of those person who has academically studied the legal history, and then he has taken the root of sociology, and he was trying to say that these two subjects are having a form of a mutual dependency. So how this particular question must be dealt? Sorry. First of all, I am trying to bring a definition, a commonly accepted academic definition or introduction, that these subjects can be called as a twin subjects, and then I try to speak about the similarities, then I try to speak about some differences. In the conclusion, I try to bring Max Weber and highlight how there is a codependency which is there. So here we look up at the second question that was asked in 2025. Let's go to the third question that has been there. Let's talk about the aspects of variables.